The street was alive with chaos, shouts echoing off the brick walls. When a young black boy came running, his face twisted with fear and desperation. "They're hitting my mother," he screamed, his voice breaking through the tense night air. Every step he took seemed heavier than the last, as if the weight of the world was pressing down on him. People scattered, unsure of who he was running from or toward, but he didn't care. All that mattered was getting to the one man he knew could protect them. At the heart of the alley, behind a door marked only by a dim flickering light, sat the Mafia Boss, a man feared by everyone in the city, known for his cold eyes and calculated moves. But in that moment, as the boy stumbled into the room, the air shifted. There was a flicker of something unspoken between them, a hint that this boss, ruthless as he was, might respond in a way no one expected. The boy's chest heaved, and tears glistened in his eyes. He tried to catch his breath as the boss slowly leaned forward, hands resting on the table, studying him. Silence stretched for what felt like an eternity. Outside, the sounds of struggle continued, urgent and unforgiving. Inside, the boy waited, knowing that whatever happened next could change everything for his mother, for the streets, and for him. But the boss's next move wasn't what anyone saw coming. And just as the tension reached its peak, the screen fades, leaving us at the edge of a decision that could shake the city to its core. The boss didn't speak immediately. His sharp eyes scanned the boy's face, reading the fear, the urgency, and the raw determination in a way that only someone who had survived countless battles could. He gestured for the boy to sit, though his voice remained quiet, heavy with authority. "Slow down. Tell me everything," he said, almost more to himself than to the boy. The boy swallowed hard, trying to catch his trembling breath. He thought of his mother, her gentle hands and warm smile. The woman who had raised him in a world that often seemed cruel and unyielding. She had always told him to be brave, but nothing in his life had prepared him for this moment. Outside, the city pulsed with danger. But inside this room, time seemed to stretch. Thick with anticipation and fear, the boss leaned back, fingers steepled, listening as the boy stumbled over his words, describing the men who had attacked his mother, their faces masked, their motives unclear. Every detail seemed small, but critical. An unmarked van, a shadow that moved too fast, the faint scent of smoke lingering in the alley. The boss's mind raced, connecting dots invisible to anyone else. He had seen similar threats before, and he knew that what began as a simple act of violence could spiral into something much bigger. The boy's story ended, but the tension only grew. The boss's gaze hardened. Outside, the night seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the next move. The boy didn't know if help would come in time, and the streets beyond the walls whispered promises of danger he couldn't yet understand. Something was about to happen, something that could change everything. But no one in the room could predict exactly what. The boss finally stood, his tall frame casting a long shadow across the room. He moved toward the window, peering out at the quiet street below. Though he knew the chaos hadn't ended, was only hidden for the moment. The boy stayed close, still trembling, but trying to appear brave. Every nerve in his body screamed that danger was near, yet he couldn't look away from the man who might be their only chance of safety. Meanwhile, across town, the masked men lingered in the alley, unaware that their actions had drawn the attention of someone far more powerful than they imagined. One of them whispered into a phone, his voice low, urgent, "We can't leave any witnesses." Their plan had started as intimidation, but it was quickly turning into a situation that none of them fully controlled. The tension rippled outward, touching everyone connected to the boy and his mother, and the city itself seemed to hold its breath. Back inside, the boss began asking questions, probing for information the boy hadn't thought to share. He inquired about friends, neighbors, and even the faintest hint of who might have a motive to target his mother. Each answer painted a bigger picture, revealing a network of threats, betrayals, and unspoken grudges that stretched far beyond what the boy had imagined. The boy began to realize that the attack was more than random violence. It was part of something much larger, something dangerous. As the night deepened, the boss made a decision, his expression unreadable. He turned to the boy, and for a moment, the room was silent. Outside, a car engine roared to life, and footsteps echoed in the alley. The boy's heart pounded. Whatever move was coming next would either protect them more, push them closer to danger than ever before. The boss moved swiftly, his mind calculating every possibility, every risk. He picked up the phone on his desk, dialing a number only he knew, his voice calm but commanding. The boy watched him, heart racing, feeling the weight of every second. Outside, the city seemed quieter now, but it was the kind of silence that only comes before a storm. Meanwhile, the masked men had grown restless. One glanced nervously at the alley's shadows, sensing they weren't alone. "Something's off," he muttered, gripping the handle of his weapon tighter. The plan that had seemed simple just hours ago was starting to unravel. Unseen forces were moving faster than they could anticipate, and every choice carried a consequence far bigger than themselves. Back in the office, the boss's orders were precise. He instructed a few trusted men to move into position, eyes sharp and ears open. Every moment counted, every misstep could mean disaster. The boy clutched his fists, trying to steady his shaking hands. He had never seen power like this, not the kind that could command fear and respect in equal measure. And yet, there was something more, a promise that his mother's safety was not just a possibility, but a priority. The tension built as night stretched on. Cars rolled slowly down empty streets, shadows danced against walls, and every distant shout made the boy flinch. The boss turned, his gaze piercing, almost as if he could see the danger lurking around every corner. "Stay close," he said, voice low but unwavering. The boy nodded, heart pounding, knowing that what was about to happen could change everything and that in mere moments, the streets, his mother, and even his own fate would collide in ways no one could have predicted. Outside, footsteps grew louder and a distant shout cut through the air. The climax was near, but the outcome remained shrouded in darkness, just as the boy thought he understood the danger. A new sound cut through the tense night, an unexpected voice calling from the shadows. It was familiar, chillingly so. His mother. She hadn't been just a victim of random violence. The boy froze, heart hammering, as realization hit. Someone from inside the circle had betrayed them. The masked men were not acting alone. They had help from someone who knew the family, someone who knew the boy's routines. The streets he ran, even the secret corners where his mother often hid. The boss's eyes narrowed. He had anticipated threats from the outside, but a betrayal this close changed everything. Plans shifted in an instant. New strategies formed silently in his mind. He signaled to his men, their movements swift, calculated, almost invisible, but the boy felt a surge of panic. The streets outside were no longer just dangerous, they were unpredictable. Every shadow could be hiding an enemy, every sound a warning. Meanwhile, the masked men noticed the shift. They faltered, realizing that the situation was slipping from their control. One of them cursed under his breath, glancing at the alley. Now aware that the boss's influence extended farther than they had imagined, the boy felt the tension climb higher, sensing that the night's events were about to explode into something far bigger, far more dangerous. The mother's faint shout echoed again, but it was interrupted by the screech of tires and the sudden sound of breaking glass. The boss's hand hovered over a weapon, eyes sharp, as if he could predict every move before it happened. The boy gripped his knees, knowing the twist had changed everything, and that the moment they had been dreading, the collision of betrayal, danger, and survival, was finally seconds away. The night erupted into chaos. The boss's men moved like shadows, surrounding the masked attackers with precision, cutting off escape routes before anyone could react. The boy's mother stumbled into view, cornered but alive, her eyes wide with fear and relief, as the boss stepped forward, his presence commanding the scene. Every second felt stretched, the tension almost unbearable. The boy ran to her, shielding her with his small frame as the remaining attackers realized too late that they were trapped. The boss didn't hesitate. With a voice that brooked no argument, he ordered the men to disarm the intruders and secure the alley. The masked men, now exposed and panicked, surrendered or fled, unable to withstand the force of someone who ruled these streets. The boy hugged his mother tightly, tears streaming down his face, finally allowing himself to breathe. The danger that had haunted him for hours was fading, but the relief was only partial. Just as the tension seemed to break, a new sound shattered the calm, a single, slow clap. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward, revealing themselves as the true mastermind behind the attack. Someone the boy had trusted, a neighbor who had always seemed kind, now smirking as their betrayal was laid bare. The boss's expression darkened, and the boy realized that while his mother was safe for now, the web of deceit and danger was far from over.